Welcome into Off the Hook Sports. I am your host, Caleb Calhoun. Guys, it's Friday, the Friday before Labor Day weekend. I feel like this is Christmas Eve for college football fans. I really do. I feel like if you are a college football fan and after you turn 10, the Friday before Labor Day is like Christmas Eve. Now, it's really true after you finish school because, still during this time you start, there's a little bit of darkness over the fact that you started school back up if you're a kid. So, but once you're 25 and up, Friday before Labor Day, if you are a college football fan, is better than Christmas Eve. It just is. And who cannot be excited about this weekend? Week 1, we got a taste of it last night. I hope you took my advice and took South Florida plus 5.5. I cannot believe I didn't take the money line. You ever get that feeling whenever you take an underdog on the spread, but you don't take them outright money line, and then they win and you're mad and thinking, why didn't I just take the money line? That was me last night with South Florida. I hope you took my advice. That was one of my best bets of the week. I did have Missouri not covering, and that game hitting the under. I was wrong on that. But guys, Lions or FCS games are really, really, really hard. Let's just point that out. Anyways, moving on. We got a lot to get to today. Tennessee picks up a 5-star wide receiver, flips it from LSU, Tristen Keys. We're going to get into that. A big, big, big pickup. Rick Barnes receives a lifetime contract. What does that mean going forward? That'll be bank on it. Tristen Keys will be 4 downs because it might be Josh Heupel's biggest pickup at Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava, speaking of somebody who was his biggest pickup at one point at Tennessee, it's revealed how much he was set to make on the NIL front. We're going to talk about that. That'll be what the H. Tennessee versus Syracuse. Both unveiling a bunch of new starters. Who benefits more from that? That'll be today's tough question. We'll kick off with that. And we close by predicting every game on Tennessee's schedule this year. I'm going to give you my thoughts on how the season will go. So smash that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications. The show is represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win, why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, BanksandJones.com. We broadcast live every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Let's get rolling with today's tough question. And today's tough question involves the starters and the roster breakdown of Tennessee and Syracuse. When Tennessee and Syracuse face off on Saturday, both teams are coming off a 10-3 season in which they finished in the top 25. Syracuse finished number 22 in the coaches poll, number 20 in the AP poll under first-year head coach Fran Brown. Tennessee finished number 8 in both polls after making the college football playoff. However, they also both lost a ton of talent in the offseason. Tennessee lost 9 starters on offense, including its quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, and also lost its best pro prospect on the entire team, who was a defensive player, and edge rusher James Pierce Jr., plus 3 other interior defensive linemen. Syracuse, for their part, also lost their star player in Kyle McCord, along with their top 3 receivers. They basically lost 19 starters if you want to go through offense, defense, and special teams. They're going to have 19 new starters on the field this week when they face off. Offensively, almost everybody's gone. Pretty much almost everybody's gone. As a matter of fact, just like Tennessee, Syracuse has to replace 4 offensive linemen, and they only return 1 offensive tackle. That's their one returning offensive lineman. So a lot of similarities between these two schools. A lot of questions. Fran Brown obviously had a splash first year as a head coach at Syracuse. Looks like a rising star in the business. I really like him. His offensive coordinator, Jeff Nixon, runs a very interesting type of offense. Lots of shifts in what he does, and a very good fit for Syracuse. It's a pro-style offense. With all that said, today's tough question is this. Who benefits more from so much attrition on both sides when the two kick off on Saturday? Tennessee and Syracuse. That is today's tough question. It is brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, BanksandJones.com. There's a lot to get to with both of these. Okay, so let's discuss Syracuse for a minute and why they may have the advantage. Syracuse could have the advantage because while they have a lot of new starters, they have a lot of actually experienced players on here because a lot of their starters are transfers who have started elsewhere. I think their experience actually outweighs Tennessee's experience, particularly on the offensive line where they picked up 4 new transfers. Not at the quarterback position, to be fair. It's not like they don't return any production. They return Daryl Gill, a wide receiver who has experience as at the position, and Jonte Cook was a 5-star coming out, and he's played 2 years of college ball. So Syracuse does have weapons. They do have a lot of talent. Also, it's not like Fran Brown didn't have to do this already. He was a new coach last year, for everybody who forgot, and he broke in a bunch of new talent last year. What did he do with bringing in that new talent? He went 10-3. So when you take that into account, it's not like Syracuse didn't have this issue last year and they were totally fine. They ended up going 10-3. So I don't really see if there's anything wrong with them. I don't think there's any issues with them bringing in new talent, truth be told. Now, where does Tennessee have the advantage? Well, by and large, Tennessee also has better players. I mean, the players they're bringing in are better players. The receiving core should actually be better. Joey Aguilar, the quarterback, has more starting experience overall. They have more highly touted recruits everywhere. So just the fact that they have better players is why it favors Tennessee. Those two things could theoretically be a toss-up. However, I'm going to tell you why it favors Tennessee. Tennessee has the advantage with both teams bringing in so many new starters over Syracuse. And there is a key reason. Part of it is that they do have better players. But there's another one as well, and it's the poll question. Vote on it. Who benefits more from Tennessee and Syracuse both bringing in so many new starters on offense? You guys vote on that. Today's tough question, again, brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com.
The poll question up. Who benefits more from Tennessee and Syracuse both breaking in so many new starters on offense? 100% of you say Tennessee. I agree with all 100% of you. It's Tennessee. And I'm going to tell you the most underrated reason why. Fran Brown and Jeff Nixon run a true pro-style offense. Josh Heupel runs a simple veer and shoot that is very easy for most new starters to pick up outside a receiver. But again, as I've talked about before, the receivers were in the system last year. So they should be fine on that. Fran Brown and Jeff Nixon have a lot of experienced players who don't have experience playing together. And so figuring out this pro-style offense is going to take a month or so before they really get it going. And pro-style offenses are Jeff Nixon brings in a full-on complex pro-style offense. We're talking about a guy who was working with the Carolina Panthers in the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles, a disciple kind of a protege of Andy Reid, funny enough, brings a lot of those concepts to this offense. And that is not going to be figured out overnight. Whereas Josh Heupel's offense, outside of the receivers, who, by the way, are all in the system now, have been in the system, were all on the team last year, so they've already picked up the offense. It's a lot easier to figure out quickly. The quarterbacks under Josh Heupel, you can pick up this offense in 2 weeks. It very much reminds me of one of the reasons Florida would always beat Tennessee in the 90s. Tennessee had better talent, but they ran a pro-style offense. Pro-style offenses take time to gel. Steve Spurrier had his simple fun and gun. The fun and gun was not complex, guys. It was, honestly, it was just a testament to how stupid defensive coordinators were at the time. You spread, you always make sure you have one more receiver than the other team had fast enough cornerbacks or defensive backs to guard. And you have the quarterback snap the ball. It was like straight up PlayStation style video game. The quarterback snaps the ball. They throw it to the receiver that beat his man. You got to wait, got to let it happen. And the quarterback had to be willing to get hit. Danny Werfel got hit a lot. And that's pretty much it. That's really all it was. Whereas, I mean, that's why Florida would always beat Tennessee early, because Florida had the fun and gun. They had the system figured out. Tennessee was still developing on the pro-style offense. Tennessee, Josh Heupel's offense makes it's very, very, very easy to figure out. Very easy to figure out. And that's why they're going to have the advantage. And now let's just go to last year for this, by the way, guys. Syracuse gets a lot of credit for how they finished the season. And they deserve a lot of credit, by the way. They beat Cal at Cal. Then they beat Miami, knocking them out of the college football playoff. And then they blew out Washington State in the Sun Bowl. But they had a really rocky road during the season. And I just want to point this out. Their opener against Ohio last year, yes, Ohio won the MAC. That was a very good group of 5 school, but Syracuse should have beaten them by more than 38-22. The next week, they did beat Georgia Tech. They beat them 31-28 when Georgia Tech was in the top 25, and Brent Key's a good coach, but Georgia Tech went 7-6 last year. They weren't special. They then lost to Stanford at home, 26-24. They then needed overtime to beat UNLV. Again, on the road, UNLV, a good team that was led by Barry Odom at the time, but that's a group of 5 schools. Syracuse should have beaten them by more. They also won at NC State, but only by a touchdown. And as we saw, NC State was a bad team. Then they got blown out by Pittsburgh, needed overtime to beat Virginia Tech at home, and then lost a close one at Boston College before they really went off in November. What you see with Syracuse's season, even though the losses are spread out, is the team got better as the year went on. They didn't start well. And it's because, again, they had a new coach, a new system, and also a transfer quarterback picking it up in Kyle McCord. It took a little time. It's going to take a little time again. And when it takes time, the question is, does the schedule work in your favor? Well, playing Tennessee on the schedule doesn't work in your favor to open the year. So that's the biggest reason that Tennessee gets a huge advantage by both teams breaking in new starters. Syracuse this year doesn't get the same breaks they got last year. After Tennessee, they're going to have to play UConn and Colgate, and then they'll play, well, they get to play UConn and Colgate, but then they're going to have to visit Clemson and then host Duke and visit SMU. I don't see how they get any better than 3-3 coming out of that first 6-game stretch. And they could be 2-4. Don't sleep on them losing to Duke. And Pittsburgh and at Georgia Tech are, and then North Carolina and at Miami and at Notre Dame and then Boston College. The schedule is so much more difficult than last year. Look, I'll just tell you this with Syracuse. 2-10 is on the table. 2-10 is very much on the table for Syracuse this year. And truth be told, Jim Mora is actually doing a very good job at UConn. 1-11 is on the table. I mean, now, again, 8-4 could be on the table too, but 1-11 is on the table for the team this year. I still believe in Fran Brown long-term, but this is going to be a really, really tough year because the schedule is a lot tougher for them, and it starts with Tennessee. Portions of the program are brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations, your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. It is time for 4 downs, and it's the big news of Thursday. Ahead of Tennessee's opener, you can't get excited enough about the Vols opening the season, but Tennessee made it more exciting as Tennessee flipped 5-star wide receiver Tristen Keys from the LSU Tigers. There had been rumors abound for months that Tennessee was going to flip Tristen Keys. It seemed like it was happening. Keys is a multi-sport athlete. He is 6'2.5", 180 pounds, out of Hattiesburg High School in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, southern Mississippi. But Kelsey Pope never stopped recruiting him. And with this, Keys has officially committed to Tennessee. He flipped from LSU. This is the biggest commitment of Josh Heupel's tenure at Tennessee. Yes, that's right. I said it, and I'll repeat it. This is the biggest commitment of Josh Heupel's tenure at Tennessee. I'm going to break down why. That'll be 4 downs, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. We're going to give you the reasons this is the biggest commitment for Tennessee. First, and we need to point this out, I am going to do my Cooper Mays impression. For those who don't know, you should know. I tell you this every day, by the way, but I'm just going to repeat it for those who don't. Dave Hooker is obviously out right now. He has the soundboard where he uses Cooper Mays' automated voice to tee us up on 4 downs. I don't have the soundboard, but I want to show respect and also show respect to him and Cooper for doing this for us. So we are going to bring you Cooper Mays and tell you what he has to say on the subject. And so, again, let's start with a message from Coop, which is this. Who's ready for this? Cooper Mays here. Here, like and subscribe. Well, thank you, Coop. I don't mind if I do. All right, so Cooper Mays has asked you guys all to hit like and subscribe. Please do so at Cooper Mays' request. And it's time to tee up the downs on why Tristen Keys is Tennessee's biggest commitment of the Josh Heupel era. Coop here. First down. The straight up ranking. Tristen Keys is not as high on the 247 Sports composite as, for instance, Nico Iamaleava was. He's number 6 ranked nationally. Iamaleava was number 3. However, Iamaleava was only the 2nd rated quarterback. Tristen Keys is the number 1 rated wide receiver. More importantly, Tristen Keys is a unanimous 5-star. Iamaleava was a 4-star on ESPN recruiting. Now, ESPN recruiting is the least valued recruiting. I don't deny that. But at the same time, you can't deny that Nico Iamaleava, when you break all of this down, was definitely the least touted, was definitely not as highly touted overall as Tristen Keys, even though he was a 5-star in general with his industry ranking. So the sheer ratings make him that. The other player that would compete, the only other player who would compete, is David Sanders Jr. David Sanders Jr. is another unanimous 5-star, to be fair, and a huge pickup for Tennessee. And you can make a case for David Sanders Jr. as the biggest commitment for Tennessee. He was a huge get in the 2025 class, and it looks like he's going to start this year as it is. But he was like the number 10, I believe, player overall. It was close. And he was like the 3rd rated offensive tackle on 247 Sports composite. So while he is a unanimous 5-star, Sanders and Keys are the only unanimous 5-stars Heupel has signed. The only other one that they've signed since Eric Berry is Darnell Wright. But Sanders and Keys are the 2 biggest on a unanimous front since Eric Berry. But Keys is actually a little bit more highly rated than Sanders. So with that, yeah, Tristen Keys, the ratings alone make him the biggest commitment for UT in the Josh Heupel area. In the Josh Heupel era. Cooper Mays here. Suck it down. Thank you, Coop. The other big reason he is the biggest commitment for Tennessee, he was a flip. It's one thing to land players that you've been working on the whole time, but Tennessee was able to flip Tristen Keys from LSU. That's a huge deal. And they didn't just flip him from a school that, okay, you can have questions about LSU under Brian Kelly, but no more than you have about Tennessee under Josh Heupel right now. They flipped him from a school where there was a Heisman winning quarterback 2 years ago, and then there's Jaden Daniels, and there's another quarterback now in Garrett Nussmeier, who many believe will be the best in the SEC. Under Brian Kelly, it's been looking like LSU is going to churn out elite quarterbacks, which would churn out elite receivers. Tennessee hasn't had the same passing game success in years. We'll get to that in a second. But with that in mind, flipping him from LSU is a big coup for Josh Heupel to do that. Now, Tennessee's in a group of Mays here. 3rd down. Here's the other big reason. The position. Now, I said this about David Sanders when he committed to Tennessee last year. The reason I said he was the biggest commitment in the Josh Heupel era at that time was not just his rating, but also the fact that the question was, could Josh Heupel get guys like offensive linemen who are that highly touted? Because as we know, it's one thing to land Nico Iamaleava when Hendon Hooker is putting up record numbers. It's one thing to land Mike Matthews when Hendon Hooker is putting up record numbers. It's another thing to land those type of players, though, after you've had 2 years of a sputtering offense. Now, after 2023, Josh Heupel could sell the sputtering offense by saying that was just Joe Milton. I picked him. Not that he's bad, but he wasn't a fit for this system. We're going to take off again with Nico Iamaleava. But then in 2024, the offense sputtered again and was underwhelming, and the receivers were underwhelming. So Tennessee is not really in a strong position to land highly touted prospects in the passing game the way they were even a year ago before the 2024 season kicked off, and certainly the way they were before the 2023 season kicked off. So taking that into account, landing a wide receiver now of this caliber is a really big deal. That makes it a huge coup. 4 Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. 4th down coming up in a second.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super Savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance. Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
All SEC Center Cooper Mays here. 4th down. All right, 4th down. He's also the biggest commitment because of how he's going to complement who else is committed in this class. This recruiting class is shaping up to be pretty loaded. It is now officially in the top 10. It's number 8 in the 247 Sports Composite with 3 5-stars. Tennessee hasn't had that many 5-stars since Butch Jones secured a top 5 class in 2014, 2015. I'm not going to get into Butch Jones. However, Tennessee has 3 specific 5-stars that should make this thing dominate, which is Gabriel Osenda, the offensive tackle, who will be their star pass protector in the future. Tristen Keys, the star go-to receiver. And of course, Faison Brandon, who the 5-star quarterback. Now, Faison Brandon, you guys would say that contradicts what I just said on the last down, and that Tennessee wasn't being attractive anymore to players in the passing game because of the situations that have happened the last 2 years. And Faison Brandon would seem like a bigger pickup than Keys on that route. He's the number 1 player across the nation. Faison Brandon is more highly rated than Keys. However, Faison Brandon committed in 2024 before the sputtering offense of the 2024 season. And it's not like he probably wasn't looking elsewhere at different times. So I don't know. I can't say all out that he's the biggest commitment because of that, because 2024 Tennessee was still attractive to quarterbacks before the 2024 season played out. Keys, however, is bigger. Now Tennessee has the best quarterback and the best wide receiver in the 2026 recruiting class, a duo that should be unstoppable in Knoxville in the future. These are 2 of the Vols' 10 biggest recruits, 10 most highly touted recruits since the year 2000. That's what makes Tristen Keys the biggest. He really inflates just how big of a deal the Vols is. So the Vols recruiting class is. So I'm going to set up the poll question right now. You guys can vote on this. Who is Tennessee's biggest recruiting get in the Josh Heupel era, not judging hindsight? So when I say not judging hindsight, that's why I say, that's why Nico Iamaleava could be on the list, because I'm going to put him on the list because we don't want to judge hindsight. So I'm going to say David Sanders Jr. Actually, no, we'll start like who has been, and we'll start with Nico Iamaleava, Nico Iamaleava, David Sanders Jr., Faison Brandon, and Tristen Keys. And obviously Tristen Keys is the most recent one. These are incredible pickups. And I know nobody's going to want to vote Nico Iamaleava, but don't judge in hindsight. Okay? Take into account what it was like when they picked them up. That's the way you want to do this. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection of strict standards. Hemp House, chat with 2Ts.com, Hemp House, chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off when we come back. Rick Barnes got a lifetime deal. What does that mean for Tennessee basketball? That'll be bank on it. Stick with us 2 minutes off the hook. Sports.
And Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks and Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks and Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks and Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Hello, ma'am. I'm here to look at that plumbing problem.
Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink.
If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP.
You are not gonna believe this.
You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications. It looks like people are disagreeing with me. I said, who has been Tennessee's biggest recruiting get in the Josh Heupel era, not judging in hindsight? David Sanders Jr. wins by a majority, 55%. Tristen Keys is number 2 at 36%. Faison Brandon at 9%, and nobody saying Nico Iamaleava. Guys, I think that's a bit of a hindsight thing. We'd all be saying Nico Iamaleava 2 years ago. But still, it is what it is. It is time for This Day in Tennessee Sports History. And it's actually a day late, but I need to bring it up anyway. And I should have done it yesterday. On August the 28th, yesterday, the iconic Rocky Top reached its 58th year anniversary of being written. Not recorded. Okay, not recorded. Rocky Top was initially released by the Osborne brothers. I do believe that was a little bit later. It was released officially on December. It was recorded on November the 16th, 1967. It was released on Christmas of 1967 by the Osborne brothers. And then Lynn Anderson recorded a version of it in May 1969 and released it in April of 1970. It debuted at Tennessee. Was first played on October 21st, 1972 during a home game against Alabama. And it became such a big deal. It became more closely associated with Tennessee as the fight song. However, and in the 80s, I believe it was in 1982, it was adopted as an official Tennessee state song. However, all that started on August the 28th, 1967, when Felice and Boudleaux Bryant were staying at the Gatlinburg Inn. They were writing slow tempo songs for the golden years. That's right. They were actually writing slow tempo songs for the golden years. This is a musical band that was writing. Okay. And they were a little bored with the monotony of it all. And reportedly, while at the Gatlinburg Inn, they were tired of the style of what they were writing, and they decided they should do something more upbeat. And Boudleaux started singing, "Wish That I Was on Old Rocky Top Down in the Tennessee Hills." And it was just kind of spitballing things coming up. And they got really excited about that. They felt they had something. So then they wrote that song, and it took about 10 to 15 minutes to write and was total diversion from their official work. By the way, does anybody notice Rocky Top is a gangster rap song? It's basically that. It's a song about killing federal officials. It's a song about killing federal officials looking for a moonshine still. That's right. I mean, isn't that kind of crazy? Here's going to be a fun poll question. All right. What song is more anti-police? What song is more anti-police? Rocky Top or F the Police, which was an NWA song in the 1980s. Yeah, so you guys vote on that. Let's have a little fun. What song is more anti-police? Rocky Top or F the Police? Because both are very anti-police if you really think about it. Rocky Top's literally a song about killing a federal officials. I'm just saying. That's a song about killing police officers. Think about that. This day in Tennessee sports history brought to you by Joe Newberg Collision Center, your home for East Tennessee's best choice for quality repair work and fantastic customer service for nearly 50 years. JoeNewbergCollision.com, JoeNewbergCollision.com.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newberg's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newberg Collision Center.
All right. So now I got the message board going all the way down. Okay. Adam brings up a fair point. Anti-federal government versus anti-police. That's the difference between rap and folk music. Well, not necessarily true. If you really listen to folk music, there are a lot of songs about going against local sheriffs. I mean, there's quite a few songs about shooting the sheriff. All right, let's just call it what it is. So it's that's not old school folk music. Now you're right. In Rocky Top, they're talking about federal officials, but they were federal police officers. They were federal police officers busting up an illegal moonshine ring. It's no different than a rapper doing a song about a federal official but shooting a federal official. What if there's a rap song out? I'm sure there is, about a federal official busting up a crack house and they shoot the federal official. Kind of this, a federal police officer. Kind of the same thing that Rocky Top's about when you're really thinking about it. Rocky Top's about the second verse. Once two strangers climbed old Rocky Top looking for a moonshine still. Strangers ain't come down from Rocky Top, reckon they never will. By the way, we don't even know if they're federal officials. Adam, you said federal government. We don't know if they're federal officials. They could have been local police. They could have been local police looking to bust up the moonshine ring. They're not really clear on that. I'm just saying, both songs are very anti-police. That's all you need to know. Rocky Top and F the Police are both anti-police. Now, let's have a little fun here. I'm sorry, I just had to have that little fun. I'm going to leave the poll question up. All right. It's time for Bank on It. And we're going to get back to football in a minute, guys, but we have to talk about this because it's huge news related to Tennessee. Rick Barnes has received a lifetime contract from Tennessee basketball. That's right. A lifetime contract from Tennessee basketball. The way this works is Rick Barnes, his contract will always have 3 years remaining on his deal. Every year, another year will add to his 3-year deal. Now, when you take that into account, it means Rick Barnes is at Tennessee for life, and he can retire whenever he wants. And if he retires, he does not have to pay a buyout. If he goes to another school, I believe he has to pay about $2 million in a buyout if he does it within 2 years of his 3-year deal, which again, 3-year deal is never changing. It will always be a 3-year deal no matter what. Taking that into account, Tennessee just gave a 71-year-old who has won 0 national championships and who has never even taken them to the Final Four and has only been to 1 Final Four in his career in 22, and it was 22 years ago. They just gave that guy a lifetime contract after we trashed Kentucky for giving John Calipari a lifetime contract a while ago. However, the circumstances are different. And this is Bank on It, brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, life made better. Bank on It. Tennessee giving Rick Barnes a lifetime deal will work out much better than your typical lifetime deals work out. I generally say there should never be lifetime contracts. They're stupid unless Nick Saban won you a national championship, or 7 national championships, excuse me. However, David Speaks said, Caleb, he's 71, not 51. Did I say 51, David Speaks? Rick Barnes is 71. Correction, Rick Barnes is 71. I don't think I said 51, but you guys correct me on that if I did. Rick Barnes getting a lifetime contract will work out for Tennessee long term. It is a smart move, and I will break down why. This is Bank on It. Again, brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, life made better. Giving Rick Barnes a lifetime contract is a smart move by Danny White that will work out long term for Tennessee. Won't hurt them long term, and certainly work out better than Kentucky giving John Calipari a lifetime contract was.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
Here's why the Rick Barnes deal will work out. And you guys are bringing it up. And David brings up, okay, you corrected me. You said you meant he won't be coaching another 20 years. Thank you. Okay, so I'm glad I didn't make that mistake. The reason is exactly what you guys are all seeing on the message boards. Rick Barnes is 71 years old. Rick Barnes is 71 years old. This is the type of lifetime deal you can give. Also, Rick Barnes is a mark of stability for Tennessee basketball. He is already, after this past year, he is officially the greatest coach in Tennessee basketball history. I mean, Tennessee made one Elite Eight appearance throughout its history before the last 2 years. They made now 2 in a row since then. Rick Barnes, over the last 4 years, has accomplished everything Tennessee basketball had ever accomplished at another time. He's won the SEC tournament. He's won the SEC regular season title. He's reached number 1. He's gotten a 30-win season. And he's reached the Elite Eight. Did it twice. With all of that, there's just no way around the fact that Rick Barnes is the best coach in Tennessee basketball. And he's showing no signs of slowing down. I mean, we know about him landing 5-star lottery pick Nate Ament for this recruiting class, who's going to start for Tennessee arguably this year. He's still picking up talent in the transfer portal on a year-to-year basis. In this era, and I say this a lot, this is the underrated part. This era of college basketball is actually conducive to Rick Barnes. Why? Tennessee and Rick Barnes are uniquely positioned to be successful through the transfer portal. Here's what I mean by this. Rick Barnes' biggest issue throughout his career has been that he's a developmental coach. So lottery style picks don't work out for him because he's about teaching the game of basketball. So, and freshmen are all. So when you're focused on teaching and developing players, you're going to see them make a lot of mistakes, i.e. Kevin Durant when he played at Texas. And he's not the only one. And if they don't make a lot of mistakes, by the way, or one, they'll make a lot of mistakes, but two, they also might just resent it because they don't like the fact that they're having to be taught the game of basketball when they're unhappy about being in college anyway, when they're one and done players and they know they're going to the NBA. I've always said Rick Barnes' biggest mistake was recruiting players that were 5-star freshmen. However, Rick Barnes is a great developer of talent. And he's also great with upperclassmen because upperclassmen at the college game that are looking to get to the NBA are always focused on fine-tuning their game. So when they transfer to Tennessee and Rick Barnes, they transfer looking to fine-tune a part of their game. That's where you get the success you had with Dalton Connect and then Chaz Lanier. Back-to-back years, you had elite players that transferred to Tennessee wanting to fine-tune their game so they could end up making it to the NBA, and they fully bought in to the way Rick Barnes was going to develop them. And they were old enough to be able to develop like that without making a bunch of mistakes. So Rick Barnes in the transfer portal era is built to have success. Built to have more success now than he had 20 years ago, honestly. And with that in mind, I think Tennessee should have done everything they could to keep him. They just did. And when you give him a lifetime deal, the big thing you can do now is Danny White is sending a message. I fully believe in this move that Rick Barnes is doing. It's up to him to let people know when he's going to retire. And with transfer portal guys, they don't have to worry about that now. And also recruits too. Recruits and transfer portal guys can see, okay, Tennessee's fully committed to this guy. That'll help him land the players he wants to land, specifically in the transfer portal. And that, I think, is the biggest deal in all of this. Rick Barnes landing that type of player, getting that type of contract is a huge benefit. And it's one of the few times it will work out. I'm going to change the poll question. The poll question, what song is more anti-police, Rocky Top or F the Police by NWA? I think that sparked a fun debate. 65% say F the Police, 35% say Rocky Top. Okay, now Let me ask you guys this question. Rick Barnes' lifetime deal is smart. He's 71. Dumb. You don't give lifetime deals. Dumb. Don't give lifetime deals. Okay. Smart. He's 71. Dumb. Don't give lifetime deals. Alrighty. I'm putting the poll question up on that. Again, the reason John Calipari's was so stupid is John Calipari was so much younger. He had actually drastically underachieved at Kentucky, winning just one national title in 2012, and he could have stayed there forever, and Kentucky would have had to pay him a lot of money to get rid of him. But luckily for everybody involved, John Calipari didn't want that humiliation of being fired, and he went and took the job at Arkansas with that weird press conference where the cheerleaders rolled him out, and, he was that was a wild one. Who remembers that introductory press conference with John Calipari? That was funny. But anyways, I think this one is smart. I think this is a smart move. I think it's smart to give Rick Barnes a contract. He is 71 years old. And I think that this is a move that will work out for Danny White in Tennessee long term. It's a way they don't have to deal with things anymore with Rick Barnes. They know they're safe with him. They know they're in good shape. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hound Dogs of Knoxville Champions. Look good in orange. hdknoxville.com. hdknoxville.com. When we come back, Nico Iamaleava. Let's talk about what he was set to receive at Tennessee and what he wanted versus per a CBS report that actually came out earlier this week. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the hook. Sports.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln Knoxville.
Hello, ma'am. I'm here to look at that plumbing problem. Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink.
If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP.
You are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications. Rick Barnes' lifetime deal. Looks like you guys are all on board with it. It says smart. He's 71. Dumb. Don't give lifetime deals. 100% of you say smart. He's 71. I want to get back to a poll question earlier that I missed, or a super chat earlier that I missed. I apologize, Timothy McGee. I really appreciate the super chat. Says Calhoun. I always thought paying a quarterback on potential was stupid, and said if he makes that much, should get the ball off quicker and be able to read defense coverages. I actually do agree with that. And we're going to talk about that with Nico Iamaleava's money in a second, particularly Timothy in the Josh Heupel era. I don't think Josh Heupel should be spending a lot of money on elite quarterbacks based on their arm, because I think the receivers really make this offense go, and the quarterback's just an extension of Heupel's system. What adds to Heupel's system is actually the athleticism of the quarterback, which is why Faison Brandon would work out. But I don't think Tennessee in their NIL budget should go all out with I don't think Tennessee in their NIL budget should really go all out on landing a quarterback. I just don't think that's smart. All right, that actually is a great lead into for What the H, because speaking of quarterbacks getting a lot of money, it has officially been revealed, or sources have revealed, exactly what Nico Iamaleava and his camp were gunning for and what they got. And now Joel Klatt earlier this week was like, oh, Tennessee controlled the narrative and they made everything up about Nico Iamaleava. Well, this is an independent source reporting this. Has nothing to do with Tennessee leaking anything. We have found out what Nico Iamaleava was being offered and what he wanted. Nico Iamaleava, for those who don't remember, was making $2.4 million at Tennessee. He was negotiating more money. Pete Nakos reported on the Thursday before the spring game that Nico Iamaleava was in his camp were negotiating more NIL money and were wanting something in the $4 million range. Iamaleava's father comes out and says that's a lie. Refers to Nakos as B-word Nakos. Iamaleava's not at practice the next day. The following day, he hits the transfer portal and goes to UCLA. Well, it turns out they were asking for even way more money. Per this CBS report, John Talty of CBS Sports wrote this earlier in the week. Now, Iamaleava was slated to make around $2.4 million again. Carson Beck and Darian Mensah of Duke and of Miami and Duke respectively were making a lot more money. Lenora Sellers, I believe, was making more too. Iamaleava, it was previously reported, wanted something in the $4 million range. However, Darren Heitner, a prominent sports law attorney who had conversations with Iamaleava's camp during the saga, believes that Iamaleava actually wanted $6 to $8 million. $6 to $8 million. They were actually asking for $6 to $8 million, according to Heitner. Sources believe Tennessee was willing to go in the low $3 million range, but was never going to come close to those outlandish asks. The Iamaleava camp was confident that he'd be able to make more than $4 million on the open market. So let's think about this for a minute. They were sure that more than $4 million was their floor. They were asking Tennessee for $6 to $8 million. Tennessee was asking in the low threes. Iamaleava is now making $1.2 million. What the H? Brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. How do you fumble? This is literally fumbling the bag. This is literally fumbling the bag, okay? How do you go from being offered in the low threes to thinking you can get in the fours by asking in the $6 to $8 million range, and you find yourself making $1.2 million? Nico Iamaleava, if this is all true, man, I'm telling you, break from your dad. You're bad at PR as it is, okay? Your story on why you left completely contradicted your dad's story. And then you revealed the other day that you went to a UCLA game while Tennessee had a bye last year, the week before you played your worst game of the year, and Tennessee lost to Arkansas in an upset. Your dad is screwing you. Get away from him. Get away from him. This is incredible. Now, how in the world did they think they could make the $6 to $8 million? I got a theory on this, and I want to set it up as a poll question. 92% of you say Rick Barnes deserves a lifetime deal because he's 71 and it's smart. Was Nico Iamaleava's aggression in asking for so much money because due to Josh? How about this? Did Josh Heupel let the Nico Iamaleava situation go too far before finally taking a stand? And I'll let you guys say yes or no on this, because I have some theories on this. What the H, brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry. A Tennessee tradition, rickterryjewelry.com.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
All right, the poll question up. Did Josh Heupel let the Nico Iamaleava situation go too far before finally taking a stand? Yes or no? I'm going to say yes. And I do feel like Josh Heupel lets a lot of situations go too far before he finally has to take a stand. I do think the Boo Carter situation, Nico Iamaleava situation, allowed him to handle the Boo Carter situation a little bit different. At the same time, the Boo Carter situation did still also almost get out of hand. Let's recap what happened with Nico Iamaleava. NIL launches in 2021, right? Yeah, NIL launches in 2021. Nico Iamaleava commits to Tennessee in 2022, in March of 2022. That summer, it comes out that Nico Iamaleava was offered $8 million over 4 years to commit to Tennessee. This was in the NIL market. A year and a half later, as Nico Iamaleava is about to take over as the full-time starter, the news comes out that the NCAA is trying to investigate Tennessee for recruiting violations on the NIL front with how they landed Nico Iamaleava. The school and the university go all out to discredit the NCAA. They thought the state, the school and the state files a lawsuit in court. And because of antitrust violations, they effectively kill any NIL regulations possible. Do that all on behalf of Nico Iamaleava. Then during the year last year, we find out Nico Iamaleava is taking trips to UCLA on bye weeks, and Josh Heupel is willing to negotiate with him to give him more pay in the offseason. They also, at his request, go the transfer portal route to pick up new offensive linemen. They do all of that. And then he still comes back and says, no, I want $6 to $8 million, or his camp. And then he transfers. This was letting things go way too far. I think Josh Heupel, here's why I think he did it. I think he thought he had a national title caliber program last year. And I think he wasn't prepared for the 3-3-5 shell defenses that we're going to be running against Tennessee. Wasn't prepared for the receivers never getting fully healthy after Brew McCoy and Dante Thornton both came back from season-ending injuries, and then Squirrel White suffered a separated shoulder during the season. Wasn't prepared for, because you can never be prepared for this, Nico Iamaleava's inability to process quickly when he's on the field. And he wasn't prepared for injuries at left and right tackle. All of those things had an impact on Tennessee's season last year. And it's why, despite them going 10-3, making the playoff, the season just somewhat felt underwhelming. I believe that Nico Iamaleava really overplayed his hand, and that is true. But I also believe that Josh Heupel, honestly, I also believe that Tennessee and Josh Heupel let it get too far. Let it get too far. The poll question up. Did Josh Heupel let the Nico Iamaleava situation go too far before finally taking a stand? 69% of you guys agree with me. Yes. 31% say no. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious at this point that he let it get too far. I don't think there's any way to look. I don't think there's any way you can look past that. He absolutely let it get too far. And so, yeah, I think Josh Heupel and Tennessee really lost control of this situation. So we'll see what happens. But Josh Heupel and Tennessee lost control of the situation, and they let the situation go way out of hand. But Nico Iamaleava still, at the end of the day, played himself. That's pretty much how that went. Portions of the program are brought to you by Let me pull those up real quick. Quality Tire Pros. That's right. Portions of the program are brought to you by Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service, automotive, brake alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. Walk in and say, "Hey, Mo, Off the Hook Sports sent you." QualityTirePros.com. When we come back, we're going to discuss our predictions for Tennessee's season. Stick with us 2 minutes. Off the Hook Sports.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super Savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 Volume 4 dealer. Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance. Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at NFC1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East Tennessee locations.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn your notifications on. Tell a friend. We're building something great here at Off the Hook Sports. And yes, we want you to be a part of it. Absolutely. So again, please hit that like and subscribe button. Please turn on your notifications. Please tell a friend. We got a lot of great things going right now at Off the Hook Sports. It is time for the stat of the day. And this is kind of an interesting one. I think you guys are going to have fun with this one, because you may not know how this one works, but there's an interesting thing going on with Tennessee opening the season against non-conference Power 5 programs. Okay. Here's what it is. Tennessee, Saturday marks the 9th time since 1990 that Tennessee will start the season, will open the year against a non-conference Power 5 team. And Power 5 in the past would have been BCS conference teams in the 90s. So this is going back to 1990. With a against a non-conference Power 5 team, with a quarterback who didn't start the previous season, who didn't start to open the previous season. So again, Saturday marks the 9th time since 1990 Tennessee faces a non-conference Power 5 team with a quarterback who didn't start to open the previous season. Their record in those games is 4-3-1. This Saturday marks the 4th straight time. That's right. It marks the 4th straight time that when Tennessee has opened the season against a non-conference Power 5 school, they did it with a quarterback who didn't open the previous season. Obviously, Joey Aguilar starts Saturday. Nico Iamaleava started last year. Joe Milton started against Virginia in 2023. Hendon Hooker started in 2022. Jared Garantano started against West Virginia in 2018. Whereas Quentin Dormandy started the season the year before against Georgia Tech. And Quentin Dormandy, when he started the season in 2017, that was a year after Josh Dobbs had started the season in 2016. So whenever Tennessee plays non-conference Power 5 schools to open the year, they seem to be breaking in a new quarterback. The most notable instance of that is Syracuse in 2001 with T. Martin. I'm sorry, in 1998 with T. Martin. Tennessee broke in T. Martin in 1998 against Syracuse for his first start, and they beat Syracuse 34-33, and then they went on to win the national title. They have Joey Aguilar as a new starter against Syracuse this week. That is an interesting stat of the day. Your stat of the day is brought to you by Peak IV Hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration. PeakIVHydration.com. Link is in the chat. All right. It is time for Hot or Cold, brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia. Daily updates, Facebook.com/Sports Treasures TN, Facebook.com/Sports Treasures TN. And we are going to get rolling with the 2025 Tennessee football schedule. I'm going to give you my picks for every game this year. I'm going to play Hot or Cold. Will Tennessee win the game or will Tennessee lose the game? And I'm going to give you my prediction for the season. Let's get rolling right now. What will Tennessee football's record be in 2025? What will they win or lose each game? That is Hot or Cold, brought to you by Sports Treasures. It is time to predict Tennessee's season. Coming off a 10-3 season in which they made the college football playoff, what will they do in 2025? They open the year against Syracuse on Saturday. Will they beat Syracuse or lose Syracuse? I'm hot on them beating Syracuse. I get the unknowns in the game. Tennessee, though, is a 13.5-point favorite. I think they should cover. I think Tennessee is a significantly better team, even with the new quarterback in Joey Aguilar. I'm hot on them beating Syracuse. Tennessee will beat Syracuse to open the season. September the 6th, a week later, East Tennessee State. I am in a debate over whether or not I'm hot on that game. I'm kidding. Tennessee's going to fall out of bed and beat East Tennessee State. They are going to blow them out of the water. I am extremely hot on Tennessee beating East Tennessee State. 2-0. September the 13th, Georgia coming to town. Tennessee will be 2-0. Georgia will be 2-0. Are you guys ready for this? I'm hot on Tennessee beating Georgia. Tennessee is going to upset Georgia this year, and let me tell you why. Tennessee's offense has new wrinkles that they won't show until they face Georgia with Kirby Smart. They also host Georgia. Georgia's breaking in a new quarterback. Not really a new one, but because Gunnar Stockton has been there and expected to start, but Gunnar Stockton is still not Carson Beck. They have to deal with a lot of things on that team right now. They're bringing in a lot of new talent, and it's early in the year, and it's in Knoxville early in the year where they will not have had it all come together. I think Georgia's the better team significantly, but being in Knoxville, the game being early in the season, they will make just enough mistakes for Tennessee to pull out the shocking upset of September the 13th, getting to 3-0, and at that point, the Vols will be a top 5 team. So yes, I'm hot on Tennessee beating Georgia. UAB, I'm hot on that. Not sleeping on that. UAB, Tennessee's going to beat UAB. They're going to be 4-0. Do I really have to debate that one, guys? Tennessee blows out UAB. At Mississippi State. Are you guys ready for this? I'm cold on that game. This is my bold prediction of the year. Tennessee's going to upset Georgia on the year, but they're going to be upset by Mississippi State. Look, there is no denying. I know you guys can get mad at me for this, but there is no denying that Josh Heupel has issues on the road. He has major issues on the road. He has been struggling against elite teams on the road his entire time at Tennessee. The only impressive road win he's ever had at Tennessee at night has been at Kentucky, and he did it twice. Don't give me Oklahoma last year where they won with defense. That was not a good Oklahoma team. They still lost to Arkansas a week later. They are horrible on the road, okay? And just so you know, they failed to cover the spread in any game on the road last year. They failed to cover the spread. After Oklahoma, they didn't cover any game on the road the rest of the way until Vanderbilt. And who cares about Vanderbilt? They got blown out by Ohio State at night. They lost at Arkansas. They lost at Georgia. This is not a good road team. The way Josh Heupel does the communication and the tempo and the no huddle, they struggle on the road. They underachieve. This is going to be a night game. And here's why this is going to be a night game. Mississippi State's going to be at least 3-1 going into this game. They're going to take a huge leap forward under Jeff Lebby. A huge leap forward with this offense. Look at what Alex Golesh did at USF Thursday night. Jeff Lebby, that's his third year. This is Jeff Lebby's second. He's a disciple of the Heupel offense. He was Heupel's best offensive coordinator, threw a lot of wrinkles in when Heupel was at UCF and went undefeated that year in 2018. Jeff Lebby's a heck of a head coach. Mississippi State, after going 2-10, is going to take a huge leap forward. They're going to beat Southern Miss this weekend. They play Arizona State next weekend at home. They're going to be at least, and then they play Alcorn State at home and Northern Illinois at home. They're going to be at least 3-1 when they host Tennessee on September the 27th. Guys, I think there's a really good chance they're 4-0. I think they could upset Arizona State. And if they're 4-0 hosting Tennessee, this is a night game. Even at 3-1, if they're hosting Tennessee, it's a night game. Davis-Wade Stadium, Starkville, Mississippi, those Cowbells with a good team. Tennessee is going to be overlooking them, even though they're going into a bye, and they're going to be upset by Mississippi State. Yes, I think Mississippi State is going to upset Tennessee. So Tennessee will go into their bye at 4-1. Their first bye, that is. And Nico Iamaleava won't be around to go leave for a UCLA game. Coming off their bye, Tennessee will be regrouped after the Mississippi State loss. They will want revenge for last year. And even with Alabama hanging on the horizon, Tennessee hosts Arkansas. They will blow Arkansas out of the waters. I mean, they are going to beat them by as much as they can beat them. I'm very hot on Tennessee beating Arkansas. Tennessee will destroy Arkansas. Gets them to 5-1. At Alabama, I'm cold on that. I'm saying just toss that game. Tennessee's going to get blown out by Alabama this year. Alabama is extremely good. I believe in Ty Simpson and Kalen DeBoer's system. Tennessee going to Alabama, there's no chance they win that game. I'm throwing it out the window right now as I speak. I'm cold on Tennessee beating Alabama. They're not going to beat Alabama. At Kentucky, on paper, this would be another road game that I'm cold on. Because even though Kentucky was 4-8 last year, they could be a 6-6 caliber team, and 6-6 caliber teams can beat Tennessee, but not Kentucky. Tennessee doesn't lose to Kentucky. They never lose to Kentucky, even when Josh Heupel's team dictates that they should lose to Kentucky. They don't. So they will win at Kentucky. So I'm fine. I'm hot on them beating Kentucky. That will get them to 6-2. And then comes Oklahoma to town. Brent Venables will be on the hot seat. He may even be fired by that point. That team's going to fall apart. Oklahoma's not winning at Neyland Stadium. I'm hot on Tennessee beating Oklahoma. Hot or cold, brought to you by Sports Treasures, getting over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia. Daily updates, facebook.com/sports treasures TN, facebook.com/sports treasures TN.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Tennessee has its second bye after Oklahoma, and then they come back and they face New Mexico State. Man, I'm really tough on what's going to happen with them in New Mexico State. They're going to fall out of bed. They're going to win that game in a blowout. Tennessee will then visit Florida. Now, everything is riding on this game because Tennessee is 7-2. They have a quality win over Georgia to hang their hat on. But they got to win in the swamp to get to the college football playoff. I'm sorry, guys. It's not going to happen. I can't pick Tennessee to win at Florida until I actually see them win at Florida. They haven't done it in 22 years, no matter how bad Florida is. Tennessee always seems to struggle with them. The one saving grace for Tennessee at this time is Florida could fire Billy Napier and now quit on the season. Here's the real problem with that, though. Florida, at worst, is likely to be 4-6 at that point. Now, Florida hosts South Florida next week. So let's say, here's the games Florida could lose. LSU, Miami, Texas, Texas A&M, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and South Florida. They could lose any of those 8 games before the final 2 games of the year. They win 2 of them, they'll be 4-6. They're 4-6. Maybe they keep Billy Napier. Maybe they don't. Either way, they're going to be fired up for Tennessee because they finish the year hosting Tennessee and Florida State. And if they fire Billy Napier, if they fire him in season, but they let him finish out the year, they're going to want to play hard for him to get him to a bowl game. At 4-6, they're just going to want to try to get into the bowl game because they're going to have pride. They showed last year they have pride. That team does. If Billy Napier's gone, they're going to want to play hard for the other head coach, whoever that may be. I don't think this team's going to quit. And hosting Tennessee, a team they always beat in the swamp, I think Tennessee's going to lose to Florida. That's going to push them to 8-3 on the year, and it's going to knock them out of the college football playoff. I think they're going to lose to Florida. And then they close the year at home against Vanderbilt. Even with the disappointment of not making the college football playoff, they're going to blow out Vanderbilt. Losing to South Carolina 3 years ago and Hendon Hooker for the season didn't stop them from blowing out Vanderbilt on the road with Joe Milton the next week in 2022, and it was raining. So they're going to blow out Vanderbilt, and they're going to finish 9-3. That's right. I got Tennessee going 9-3 on the season, just missing the college football playoff. But the big story is Tennessee will, the shock of the year is Tennessee will beat Georgia at home and lose to, they'll beat Georgia at home and they'll lose to Mississippi State on the road. That's the shock of the year. That's what's going to happen. I'm sorry you guys can think I'm crazy, but things aren't always consistent with this program. We're talking about a Tennessee team that last year, you guys are sitting here. I'm sorry. I got to come back. Some of y'all are sitting here saying, no way Tennessee beats Georgia and loses to Mississippi State. Why? Last year, they beat Alabama and lost to Arkansas. In 2022, they beat Alabama and lost to South Carolina. College football works like this. Okay? You guys are thinking football is a science and there's no upsets. Upsets happen all the time. And yes, teams are very inconsistent. I think Tennessee's going to upset Georgia and then be upset by Mississippi State. That happens in football. That's why I think it's going to happen here. Tennessee finishes this season 9-3, but it's okay. They stay above water and get excited for next year when they will be looking to compete for a national title with so many people back, except for their quarterback, but they will still have Jake Merklinger, George McIntyre, and Faison Brandon arrive to compete for that spot, and it won't really matter who steps in at quarterback. That's my take on the season. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used. East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Guys, I will be on tomorrow after Tennessee plays Syracuse to recap the Tennessee-Syracuse game. It will be our post-game coverage. I will be here. You guys stick with me. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow to talk about how the first game goes. Football season is here. Enjoy it. Enjoy the 3-day weekend. Party it up, baby. Let's have some fun with Caleb Calhoun. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports. You guys have a great rest of your weekend.